Hello, everybody, and welcome to a special one-off podcast where Hayden was just about to go off of stage because I saw you in the green room, bruv, getting an absolute roasting from your missus about something.
No,
Do you
no,
need
no.
to
It
go?
wasn't a missus. It wasn't my missus. No.
But yeah, welcome everyone to a one-off special ad hoc where I'm rushing because I've just realised that I cocked up my diary, and Hayden's here because I sort of hustled him into doing it, but then I realised I got all my timing wrong. So I'm going to apologise now. But actually, this is a one-off, but this is actually your idea, isn't it?
Yep, they always are. All the good ones are
Oh,
my idea.
yeah. So look, right. I don't know if you've listened to this or watched this, but we did a podcast a couple of years ago where he thought it'd be a brilliant idea to sort of interview me about the club, 40 runs, and that sort of stuff. Yeah. Well, when we was like just chatting about stuff like we do, like mates do, he then said, "You know what, 40? I've had a brilliant idea," and that idea was what?
That idea was, I think people would like, not almost like a day in your life, but they want to know exactly. They know Chris Ford, the person. That was the idea of the last interview type thing. Now they want to know, what is it you actually do aside of the club? So what people know you for most, i.e., the socials, the YouTube and that, which we will all call under that big umbrella of content creation.
Content, Chris Ford, the content creator.
There you go. That's a title.
Says a lot about bollocks to me, but yeah. So that's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna be transparent as always. I've got no idea which direction he wants to go in. Like the other one we did, we're gonna go with this. We're gonna roll with this over the next 30 minutes and see what happens. And hopefully, like when we was calling the other day, the internet doesn't crash halfway through. All right, over to you, big. Oh, actually, firstly, shout out to Skechers, our sponsors. Check out the Skechers Aero range. And I don't know when this is coming out, but we're taking over their store at Christmas. You've been pre-warned. We're doing the Christmas lights run. It's going to be epic. But yeah, big shout out to them. Right, go.
Right, being under that big umbrella, let's start off really first of all, for these people who don't know, in your opinion, because people have different opinions, you tell me your idea of what is content creation and what is a content creator.
It's not an influencer.
Mm-hmm.
I would say influencers content creation gets merged into one by some people. I don't necessarily think that's the case. Content creation is about making and producing, whether it's video, audio, whatever that people consume. Now that can be in various forms and then how it's distributed can be across various platforms. So like this, we've got audio-based podcast that is creating content that can come out obviously as video. We started this as video, but video podcasters are very popular now. So that could be that side of things, or you could obviously the long form stuff, the YouTube stuff that I do. You've got short form content, long form content. So like stuff that's over 3 minutes, stuff that's shorter. And again, it depends what it's like a consumable for everyday people who are watching, listening to things that people are making, and people are making jobs out of it. Brands are creating their own content as well. And I would say TV companies are effectively content creators in a way. Well, they are, and filmmakers and all that sort of stuff, because it's stuff that people consume in their whatever specialist subject or whatever their interests are. And I go about making stuff that people consume.
Brilliant. So we both agree that actually the content creation, even though you're not an influencer, you call yourself an influencer, content creation is an influencing product. It is something that does influence people, and that's why it's so popular. But brilliant. Okay, so let's go right back to the start then. We've got to start. We're gonna pick on majority. This whole next 30 minutes or so, it's gonna majority be based around YouTube, because we know you've got the Instagram, you've got everything else. You dabble a little bit in TikTok. We know you've got these things.
Oh, I'm useless at TikTok. Honestly, I've got absolutely no idea. You can tell the people who have got like people helping them and stuff because their TikTok's brilliant. And then there's people like me who literally have no clue. But yeah, let's.
So we're concentrating on your specialist subject. So that's going to be, this is like mastermind now in the black chair. Your specialist subject, Chris Ford, definitely is YouTube. So we're going to go back to the start. Let's tell us all a little bit about it. Really briefly, how did you first get into YouTube, and what was your inspiration behind the channel?
Inspiration was to document my London Marathon training and keep me accountable for what I was doing. So I was looking for creative output as somebody who's neurodivergent. The creative side of things is something that I hyper focus that I can really throw myself into. I find that a lot of neurodivergent people can tend to excel in sort of creative elements, and that could be like drawing or coloring. For me, it's making content is what you call it. But anyway, so it was a focus on my training for my first London Marathon. That's how I started it. It came from the angle of just a normal person, like, you know, bit shit at stuff, not really any good at running, so to speak. Yeah, I did a bit at school, but I was never like really good at it. Got fat, but wanted to sign up for the London Marathon, so I documented it.
So your very, very first video, do you actually remember it? Do you look back at it? Is it still up on YouTube? Can we view it?
Everything that I've ever done is on YouTube. I've never taken, unless it's a video that we've been asked to take down, or it got taken the wrong way or something like that. Like I had one video where people were so rude, it really impacted my mental health. I took it down. But in general, everything's up there. I did a video. I can't remember when it was, when I showed actually one of my first videos. It was like just me in the kitchen and on my phone and stuff like that. Yeah, I've got no training in making any of this. I've got no idea. I still got no idea what I'm doing, but I enjoy the process.
So that leads on to the next question, actually, quite nicely. So how do you come up with like these ideas that you're going to post in these videos? How do you actually start thinking, do you know, this week I'm going to do that? Because we know you post weekly. You pay, at times you post daily, 2-3 times, sometimes 4 times a week. How do you come up with these ideas?
I'll be honest with you. A lot of the time is when I'm out running. So I'll be running along, and you can ask Paige, you can ask Ben, you can ask Si, the guys who I run with every week. I'll go, hang on a minute, I've got to stop, and I'll write an email to myself with an idea. So like the other day, I thought of a London Marathon sort of more focused video. I can't remember what it is. I've made you laugh. I've got the email on my email, and I wrote to myself, London Marathon, blah 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 blah, because I'm thinking of stuff that I would be looking for that's useful for people. I can't remember. I think it's like about like essentials or kits, because it's coming to that time of year. So I'm seeing people already posting about this, or sometimes it comes from questions that I get asked, because obviously as a coach, I get asked a lot of stuff, or we do a live stream. We'll come on to that maybe if we've got time, but I get questions coming from the live stream where people are asking for stuff. And there's usually trends that you can pick up on that the people like, I don't know, we had a period a few weeks ago, people were asking about winter running shoes. Yeah. So you know that people are searching for that. So it's like, right, it's that time of the year. We need to make sure we do that. You know, it's that kind of thing. So it's picking up on, I don't have like a content strategy, which you should have. I tend to wing it, which might surprise some of you, but I do. With the vlogs, I don't. If I'm going through a training plan, I'll have a list of like the races and stuff like that I've got programmed in, and when they're due to come out and things like that. And I'll look for stuff to fill in there. But everything else is basically I wing it.
Okay, so yeah, so you just touched on something as well. So you have the racing vlogs. You've got different elements to your YouTube. Let's start with what probably, maybe I'm understanding you a bit. I think it's what you're sort of most well known for, especially on the other side of the pond. When you go to America and everyone wants to speak to you like the mayor of London. So running shoes are a big part of it, and your reviews on running shoes, for me, that's just, when people talk about 40 runs in YouTube, that's the first thing that comes to mind for me. And I think what people wanted to know, and the main reason I wanted to do this was, can you take us through from when you get a pair of shoes, firstly, how you get the pair of shoes, when you get the pair of shoes, what you do up until that final point when you click upload, or when that final point where you release that video for people to watch? How does that process work? I don't take something like recently, like the Mega Blast or the Vimera Premium or something. Take us through when that first comes through.
The process actually starts earlier than that. A lot of the time, I have an idea of what's coming. I mean, you've been in meetings with me with certain brands and things, and you've heard me talk to them directly about. We talk about something, then I'll go, right, what's, you know, X, when's this coming, or when's that coming, or when am I expecting that? So it actually starts slightly earlier, because we'll get the shoe, or we'll get notified that the shoe's coming pre-launch, ahead of launch. Not all the time. There'll be an embargo or some sort of thing, or it may be come based around a certain release date that it goes on sale. So I'll know ahead of time that shoe's coming. Sometimes, though, the shoe will just turn up, no tech sheet, no idea, and you'll be like, "Oh yeah, thanks for that." And then, so depending on the shoe, it will depend on what I do with it. For starters, so if it's a race day shoe, so let's say it's an ASICS Metaspeed Ray, my first thinking is, right, what race have I got coming up? Where can I, because on my channel, I like to take racing shoes and put them into races. I don't see any much value, don't get me wrong, but much value in taking them, you know, on 5 or 6 miles and then just doing an initial video on it. I appreciate why people do that. They obviously want to get the clicks, they want to get the search. For me, I'm like, well, this is a race day shoe. What race can I put that into? So that's how that side of will work. And then I'll hit upload, because I'll go, right, I've just done a 10K race. I nearly killed myself, but this is my findings. I'm going to go and do this in the shoe. With other shoes, so I don't know, just a daily trainer. I will look to, the shoe will come in and I'll be so 9 times out of 10, like you, I'm marathon training. 9 times out of 10 I am. I'm roughly doing about 40 miles a week, for argument's sake. That can be, though, 8 runs some weeks, because I double run. And there's a variety of sessions in there. My peak mileage week for Chicago, using that as an example, 60 miles. So I will look to put the shoe into my rotation and try and get a week's worth of running in it minimum before I even start thinking about the video. I think that's from my side an important thing to do, because you can use it on different things. There may be an instance where, if I know it's a hot shoe, I'll go, right, this is going to get a shitload of volume in terms of people searching it. I may do a first run or an initial impressions, and I'll be quite honest and quite open about that, and say, look, I've done whatever in it, but I really try and do something. Or another hot shoe, I may take it on a 20-mile long run, because again, I'm probably marathon trainer on that, but again, I'll be quite open about it. So I will have a certain idea of what I want to do in the shoe before I press upload and record it and press upload, because I like to deliver that to the people who watch the stuff and go, well, he's firstly, at least he's running it. Secondly, I can see on Strava what he's running roughly in a week in terms of the sessions and everything, because it's all out there. And that hopefully gives an idea of people what paces I'm running as well, and the sort of efforts that I'm doing, because it may be that what I'm doing may relate to them. It's like, there's no point me looking, and I love Ben Parks. He's my absolute hero. I love the guy. There's no point me watching a Ben Parks review, because he's a totally different runner to me. And I love him. Like, genuinely think he's brilliant. He's up there in terms of content with the best, if not the best, right? But he's a totally different speed and mileage and everything to me. So it's not that relatable. So what I hope is that people can see what I'm running, see where I'm trying to go, and then they can relate to it.
Cool. So just roughly, how long, so when you've done that running it and you get home, because you obviously film yourself running that, how long, just really quickly, does it take for you to sit there, talk about the shoe, edit that, and get it all ready?
Can take days. And I may film B-roll on one run, but I might not put the video out for another 2 weeks. Like, where I'm getting the B-roll can be on any run, really, because it doesn't matter. Like, in relation, I'm using the B-roll as an overlay just to keep the video interesting. But it might be the first run that I take the B-roll on, but it might not. I might not get enough miles in them, in my mind, get an idea of the shoe for another 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing as well. Because I'm lucky and I get sent so many shoes, I'm having to juggle. I'm juggling which shoes are priority. So, like, there's shoes that I don't even get to put videos out in, because I don't run the mileage in them to be able to put the video out. And I'm now at that point. Don't get me wrong, I used to make mistakes like that, but now I'm at the point, look, I simply haven't got enough miles to put a video out on this. And there's no real point me putting a video out after 5 or 6 miles, doing an initial review. What's the point? What value does that add?
No,
unless it's a really hot shoe.
Yep, absolutely perfect. Leads straight on to the next question. Absolutely perfectly. So this is the big question: how do you balance like the creativity with what you know will perform well. Where's that balance? Where do you think to yourself, like you said earlier, you referred to earlier, you've got a hot shoe, like let's just say you're lucky enough to get the Alpha Fly 4. Do you just do as much as you can and not care so much about the creativity because you know it's hot and you know it's trending? Or how do you get that balance of doing the shoe justice as
I
opposed to
will,
just being like that?
with a shoe like that, I will look at trying a slightly different angle on it. So look, everyone's going to come out with, their first take an issue problem. I will look to take it to a race as soon as I can and say, right, that's come in. I could probably get along to a race Wednesday night at Battersea. Let's go and have a go. And at least I've used it in anger. And that's how I'll slot that in. Or like I've done with other shoes, I got 21 miler this weekend. This is a marathon training shoe. Let's go and put it into a marathon training session. And I think that provides that. But again, I'll be totally open and say, look, I've only done 1, maybe 2 runs in this shoe, but I've done these sessions and that's what I'm basing it on.
Yeah.
So it's not like, oh, again, I've done this or not even said that. You know what I mean? I'm trying to be. That's what I've learned over the period of time. I hope that people can really respect the fact that how much I'm trying to get in these shoes before I put a video out.
But this is the thing, is it? That's what I'm talking about with the balance. Is that balance of, are you doing this just because you want views? Are you doing this because you want people to watch your channel? Or are you doing this because you're trying to give people a genuine idea of what the shoe can do and what the shoe is like? And that's the balance we're talking about there.
I'm just trying to be that that sort of voice where it's like, I wouldn't necessarily say balance because I'm probably the other end of the spectrum. I could quite easily go off on one about something. So I don't necessarily think I'm balanced. But it's just, it's more to say, look, I'm just this guy who's trying to get faster. Yes, I'm a running coach, so I know what I'm talking about in terms of like that side of things. But I'm just going to give it to you pretty straight in terms of what I think about it. And you may totally disagree with me, and I've got absolutely no problem with that. But yeah, if I'm going to like something, I'll tell you. And if I think it's shit, I'll tell you it's shit. And I've got obviously chastised for that over the years with brands, with agencies. They don't particularly like that. They don't like the fact of, they don't know what's going to come out. But even now, I don't really hold back, unless, and that is a detriment to me and detriment to the channel, detriment to the progress. When you see others out there, again, good luck to them. But I come at it at a slightly different angle. It's not deliberate. That's just me and my ways I am, my autistic ways. It's black or white, and sometimes I frustrate myself because I think, I didn't necessarily need to say it, but nothing I put out is scripted. nothing is to plan, and I'll have the best intentions of doing, something with a shoe, and then I'll run in it and go, well, this is absolute shit. I honestly, this is just so boring. I can't justify it. And I've been sent the shoe and I'm still getting angry at the fact that it's £200. Do you know what I mean? That's the sort of thing that annoys me, because it's like someone may actually go out and spend 200 quid of their money. I'm lucky. I don't have to pay that for that shoe.
Yeah.
But if you're going to spend £200 and it's absolute pony, somebody needs to say that. It's, it's like all the super trainers are out there at the moment. They're all like £170, £180. They're all the same thing. They've all become the same thing. But no one's saying that. Everyone's going, the Speed Fight. Oh, it's a brilliant shoe. It's not. It's the same as version 4. Go and buy version 4 cheaper. And that's where I get myself into trouble.
Right. I think we know that about you. We've seen it in the past. Let's talk a little bit about what people want to know about the way things work, growth and strategy. So let's talk about our biggest friend, or indeed our biggest enemy. Let's talk about the algorithm. Tell me just a little bit, just a couple of minutes, let people know what the algorithm is and how much it dictates what you do.
The algorithm is something that I still don't understand. It is something that that is like this mythology, like out there. It's how YouTube shows your content to people. So, for example, Hayden, if you went, I'll give you an example. I looked at Starlight Express the other day because the kids were going on about it. All over everything I'm looking at now is Starlight Express or anything related to it. That's how the algorithm works. So if you went on and looked up the Vomero Premium, the chances are one of my videos would show up, or somebody who's done a video on that. And that's kind of how the algorithm works. Trying to get to the front of that queue is dark art. There's people out there who can tell you how to do it. I've still not mastered it. I work on purely on keyword search, and things like that. So anything that's trending, like the Nike Vomero Premium was, people were searching that shoe. That's why it's timely to put videos out at certain points, because search traffic is high. The YouTube is a search engine, so it's going to try and promote that content. It's going to try and promote the stuff that they believe is what the person's looking for. So I don't think I know that I don't know the algorithm, but what I do know is that certain things are going to hit better than others at certain times of the year. And there's really good people out there who do a better job than at it. Again, using Ben Parks as an example, he's brilliant. He really does good stuff at the right times. If you watch Ben's stuff, it pops really well. First, he's just a great guy and makes good content, but also his what he's putting out in terms of the titles, the descriptions, and the things like that. You'll see, like, if he does I tested all the influencer products sort of thing, or those sort of things, he's bang on with that sort of stuff. But it's his full-time job, so I don't have time to search to investigate certain trends and certain topics to make sure I'm posted at the right time. Going back to that strategy, I have none.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's not as straightforward as what you say. So the question that comes from that is, if you're looking to do something, or you want to build your channel, consistency versus originality, what for you, what matters most in the growth? What are you going to get more growth from, consistency or that originality?
I think it used to be consistency. Now it's originality. I think it's changed. Actually, I think from what I've seen, is that originality is better than the consistency. We've cut back the amount of videos that I'm putting out on the channel, mainly because I'm just burnt out. And it's hard to balance life, being a dad, being a husband, having a full-time job, coach, running a club, and doing everything else, and making videos. It's bloody hard. So I think consistency is still critical, but consistency is critical in everything, including running. Just get that in there. But I think the originality is a good thing as well. I think if I could spend more time on the videos, then I would. But again, I don't have an infinite amount of time to create the stuff, because I'd love to do that. And you can see that from people who do make really good videos. They tend to have a little bit more time, and the creativity comes through, and you can see that. And I think people really buy into that now.
Yeah. I know. So the next thing, I know we have spoken about it before, and it's a not very nice topic, to be fair, but we've got to spend a minute or so on it, because it's part of the world you live in now. But how this dealing with hate and negativity, you've already said about some people have gone absolutely nuts about your videos and that. The question isn't so much how do you deal with it, the question is how do you deal with it? How do you move on from someone that's being an absolute right pain in the backside, or being really horrible to you, and they're out for you?
Yeah, it's hard, mate. I don't understand. I don't understand it in some respects, because, again, that black and white mentality that I have. I don't get what people get out of it, but there's nothing you can do with it. That's just in life, okay? So people are like that. For me, I spend a lot of time in therapy every week, dealing with my neurodivergent brain, and working through stuff to make sure that I'm not impacted by certain things. So I feel like a little bit better armed at it than I was 2 years ago. 2 years ago, it used to really affect me when people went after me. And again, I make mistakes. I say the wrong thing. I'll get stuff wrong and things like that, and I'll put the content out. But now I'm a little bit more Teflon with it, because I'm more like a work in progress on that side of things. But I can't lie, it is harsh. It's even harsher when you get other creators coming after you. Do you know what I mean? It's just like, what? And things like that. And sometimes they create spaces where it then fuels that toxicity. And I don't get that, personally. So it's a real shame, because, again, people don't really understand the negative impact it can have on you. As somebody like I've been really, I don't think I'm more open. I'm pretty open about my mental health in terms of how I am as a person. It can really affect me sometimes. If I get caught off guard, I can then go down a rabbit hole and then I'm in an autistic meltdown. And anybody who has autism will truly understand I'll shut myself off from the world if I'm not careful. So, but at the same time, I'm out there because I put myself out there. So it's kind of my own fault to a degree. And that's where I accept that there is a sort of give and take. 9 times out of 10, it doesn't bother me. 9 times out of 10, it doesn't bother me. But sometimes it still does. And it's not very nice. But that's, again, I put myself out there. So
see, I wouldn't accept that it's your own fault because you put yourself out there. That's absolutely
no,
stupid.
there's never an excuse for people to be like they are. As I said to you, I find there is a real toxicity about it. Again, I'm polarizing, and I totally understand that because some people don't like my ways, and I totally understand. I really get that. But I always think, well, if you don't like it, don't watch it, don't comment, move on. No. But people can't help that. And yeah, there is a real negativity out there. And it's a shame that it gets like that. All I can try and do is be true to myself.
I think that's absolutely fair.
And as I said, I'm so open about my mental health and my neurodivergency. I can't be any more open about it. And some days I generally struggle to get out of bed. And when you see something like that, I just think, come on, really? Like, what are you going to achieve writing that? What's
exactly that? Get a couple of likes and people think, oh, that was funny. Yeah, it's not.
Yeah, and then but you always find out 1 or 2, then jump on it, you know, and then they go after you, and you're like, okay, I'll just remove that person or delete that comment, whatever. And I don't like to delete comments, by the way. I try and respond to all my comments on my videos, and I very rarely delete stuff, like very rarely. But sometimes I have to because it's just unnecessary. It really is. It's just people trying to be clever dicks, and you're just like, you know what I mean? I've been round the block before, you know what I mean? It's not my first rodeo. So, and you know, a lot of the time you just want to tell them to go and do one.
Yeah.
But you can't.
No.
But I think you've got every right to, but at the same time, you don't want to be seen to be telling them to go. Anybody said that to you in the street, you tell them where to go straight to their face. But these people ain't got the nuts to do that. Do you know what I mean? So, but why do it? Why? I don't understand. It's just.
I say that I think we spoke about loads of times. There's positives and negatives with the social media world, and that certainly is one negative.
Yeah, I don't use. People say I don't like to be called an influencer. I don't like that. I think if anything, I'm probably the other end of that spectrum. I don't like to be painted with that. I don't like it at all because I try and stay in my own lane. Do you know what I mean? There's a reason why other creators like YouTubers now that don't want to come near me and stuff like because of the way I am, and I appreciate that. But I try and stay in my own lane now. That's what I've worked out. These guys, you know, some of them like me, some of them don't. That's fine. Some people don't like me, some people do. That's fine. It can crack on. Honestly, it really makes. So what I've tried to do is stay in my own lane, and that's where I get with the social media. I'm not very good at Instagramming. And I'm not very good at TikToking because I don't have a strategy. I don't have an idea on how I'm not doing it to grow. It's just a creative output for me. And if I can do anything with it, it's to it's to highlight what the club's achieving, what the people within the club are achieving, and what we're doing nationally. That's what I'm more proud of, and that's what I try and do with like, let's say, the Instagram. And obviously I cock about and stuff like that. But ultimately, it's not there to get likes or to get brand deals or to get this or to get that. It's not there for that. And again, that's where I think I'm a little bit different to your influencer who's making and fair play to him, making a career out of it. You know, I see people now, I've just given up my job. I worked in the city for 52 years and I've just given up my job to become an influencer. I've become a running coach. Let's have a look at that qualification. But yeah, I've become a running coach. And I'm going to give up my job. But they're basically influencers and stuff like that doing it. And you just think, okay, that's great. That's not me.
No, I agree. And while you're being so open and honest about it, let's tell everyone how you make so much money out of this. Are
I've
you
loaded
earning money? Are you earning money from
millions,
YouTube? And where are you
millions,
hiding all them millions of pounds?
millions. Yeah, I'm making so much money that I'm having to work 70 to 80 hours a week. That's brilliant. That is. And I don't have a night off. Yeah, with all the millions, because I'm counting the money on a Sunday night. I don't have time. I was talking to Nick about this last night. And she was like, "Why don't you try and get a night off, like with all the stuff you're doing, because you're killing yourself, sort of thing." I was like, "Yeah, but I need to. If I do that, then I'm going to lose this, and I can't afford to lose this, because if that, then that could become a situation where we look to, because I nearly lost the house, I nearly lost the roof over our heads, nearly lost everything. Yeah, so that's when I was driving a Tesco van, and it's like I don't ever want to get back there. So YouTube's not for me, it's not some big pot of money. I wish it was, but you get paid ad revenue off YouTube, which is not great. Especially a channel my size is not particularly great. Don't get me wrong, it's better than a kick in the nuts, yeah, and it helps. But it's not the main revenue driver. So, but I like to make YouTube videos because I like to make because I like running shoes, but more importantly, I like the creative process of my training and stuff. But no, there's a big misconception that you're loaded. I got no idea. If you get to 100,000 subscribers, I don't know how much money you'd make. I don't know whether it's more or less. I'm guessing it's probably about a little bit more, but nothing incremental. But you may get like brand deals on the back of it and stuff like that.
Yeah, the ad revenue, you have a look at the ad revenue compared to the hours you put in. Your hourly rate's probably about 50p an hour.
Yeah, it's
45p an
peanuts.
hour.
No, it is. It is. And if you think, like, as you said, a video can take a week to make. I picked probably one of the hardest places to do it, because you actually have to run. Like,
Joe, this is so funny you said that. I spoke to somebody
who's fishing. I'd be brilliant at it.
I spoke to somebody who got into this a few years ago, and they're quite successful now. And at one point they're going for a loan. I said, the problem is, you've chose one of the hardest things to get into. Not only have you got to do this content creation, not only have you got to do everything that comes with it, you have to go and bloody run as well and run these marathons and things. If you was like cake testing or something, or tasting crisps, or a biscuit tester or something like that, and making videos,
brilliant.
I'll make that. It makes life easier. Well, we've got a couple more questions. We're going to wrap it up. And a couple of things. What are the biggest myths you've heard then, apart from the money, about being a content creator? Different myths that people think, perceptions people have of
the opportunities and things like that. Some people are lucky and they get a lot of opportunities. It depends if your face fits. So I think that's that's it. I'm quite lucky. I get invited to a lot of races, but actually, I'll make you laugh. I sign up for a lot of my races now myself. I've got to that point where I'm not really interested in doing social posts and all this crap for them. Not really that bothered. So I'll get an invite afterwards. I say, no, sorry, I've already signed up. I tend to do that. So I think that's a bit of a myth. He's getting all these free places for this, free places for that. Don't get me wrong, I do get free places, but like, for example, London Marathon, I've always run for a charity every year. Just to put, just to tell you, I'm not getting invited by New Balance to go and run that, or or whatever. So I think that's a bit of a myth in terms of stuff. 9 times out of 10 now, I'm probably there on my own accord. And that a lot of that, again, some of that's through choice, because again, I don't want to be held accountable for creating certain things or deliverables. This is what we get told for certain things. Not really that interested. I'll just rather come do my own thing. If I don't fancy making something, I won't make something if I'm not in the right headspace. So I think that's a myth in terms of the stuff I do. Other myths. Yeah, I think the money's probably the biggest thing, and people don't realize how much work goes into it as well. It's on top of everything else. It's, again, I'm training for stuff. Yeah, I'm running 40 miles a week, which is quite a lot. It's not like, relative to some people, it's not much, but some people it's fucking loads. So I'm doing a lot of mileage, and I'm training, and I'm doing stuff, and then I could quite easily just do 15 miles a week and say, oh, here's a shoe review for you. But that's not me. I was a runner before I went on YouTube. Does that make sense?
Absolute sense, yeah.
And I think that's the difference. I didn't come onto YouTube to get famous and then go, oh, I'm going to go into running because nobody's doing it, or whatever, or I want freebies from shoe companies and stuff. No, I was a runner documenting my London Marathon journey. And then I was lucky enough because I genuinely liked shoes and things like that and whatnot. And then a lot of opportunities came my way in terms of that side of things. But now as I've sort of got more mature on this platform, I'm now in a position where I'm dictating basically because I'm miserable. And I'd rather do. I'd rather again. I go back to my point. I'd rather stay in my own lane, and that again, that's a detriment to this channel in terms of it growing. But I'd rather just stay in my own lane and do my own thing. And I don't necessarily think that's going to work well for me. By the way, I'm putting that out there.
Actually, that actually leads on to my very, very last question. Absolutely perfectly and brilliantly. There's loads more I could ask you about this, but we're wary of time and stuff. My very last question, and I know everyone's going to want to know this. What is the best advice you can give to someone right now, maybe listening to this and thinking, I'm a runner and I'd like to document my journey. I'd like to become a YouTuber. I'd like to do what Chris does. What's a couple of real great bits of advice? And what would you tell them, you know, their biggest bits of advice you could give them to get started?
I think firstly, are you doing it for the right reasons? Yeah, because again, there's no big pot of money here. The freebies, you know, they're great, but they're not the be all and end all. Yeah. And with those sort of freebies, there's a commitment to do certain things. I will again, give you an example. I turned down a load of stuff the other day, basically because I couldn't be bothered to do it all because I know that video is going to get no views and it was a what's it load of work to do. So I said, no, I'm not doing it. I'm not going to do that. I'd have the confidence to turn around and stick to your own lane. So again, be true to yourself. As well, make sure that what you're doing is a reflection of you. I made mistakes, a lot of them when I started out, because you get caught up in a lot of stuff. You know, first thing you get sent, or you know, I'll get sent to this race, or all this sort of stuff, and then what you learn, you know, you learn from that, and you look back and you go, well, I did that wrong, or I made the mistake there, and again, that's all learning process. So make sure you're true to yourself, true to your beliefs. Don't get sucked into stuff, you know. But I would just focus. I would focus on being authentic and telling your story, like what we said about the consistency thing. I don't know what it was in terms of the. Oh, is he back?
No, I'm back. I'm here.
Sure, I lost you. Yeah, in terms of the consistency thing, originality I think is better. I think that's important to be that authentic. You always hear this about authenticity and all this sort of stuff, but it is true. I think when people meet me, I'm quite open about how I am as a human being. I'm very awkward socially, and you may get one version of me or the other depending on where I am on my spectrum. I could be quite happy standing by a tree by myself, not talking to anyone, and the next minute I'm geeing up a whole group of people ready to go. So you don't know what you're getting, but that's the authentic me, and I'm very open about that, and I think that needs to come through on your channel. And I don't think it really matters what it is, running or fishing or hats or whatever. You just need to be authentic and don't chase it. I don't know if that's useful or not, really. I don't really know what I said there.
I think it was. Say people will know when they let us know in the comments if they're thinking about starting out on a YouTube channel.
It's hard, mate. Don't get me wrong. It is hard. It is hard. It's not easy. I think it's a lot harder now than it was like years ago. There's a lot of people doing it now. You know, you see a lot of the pros, or like guys and girls who like basically now they start a YouTube channel because they know it's another source of income. They get high quality production, and they go down that road, and they make some really good videos. So you know, there's a lot of people doing it. I feel very privileged in the channel that people tune in. People have subscribed to the channel. I feel privileged that people watch like crap like this that we make.
Cheers, mate.
And listen to this. No, but it's true. You don't realise how genuinely, because again, a lot of it's BS. People go, "Oh, thanks so much." Oh, all this it's all BS. It genuinely means a lot to me. Because I think because of what I went through, I know that everything can be taken away very quickly, and you can lose everything very quickly. When you're sitting there worrying about how the hell you're going to keep that roof over your head, right? When you're thinking how you're going to tell your wife and that basically there's no money and you've got to go begging and you've got to go and work at Tesco's, driving a van and work doing all the other stuff just to try and keep that roof over, you're fully aware that everything could be taken away from you. Don't get me wrong. I used to work in the city and I had a load of money, load of dosh. Like I didn't want for nothing. Do you know what I mean? But when you get to that point where you have nothing and you're up to your eyeballs in debt, yeah, you know that anything could be taken away from you. So I am genuinely grateful that people tune into the videos and the opportunities I get from those videos and the stuff that I make. And I really genuinely appreciate that. And that's again, that's no bullshit. On that side of things.
Comes through. Yeah. That's what the whole feeling, the whole movement around this last half an hour, really. I think people have seen that. What, love you or hate you, as we've always said before, your Marmite.
It's one or the other, right? I've got no problem with it, honestly. If you like it, that makes me feel great. If you don't, I totally respect that. It's like when we get people opinions on shoes. You don't know what you're talking about. And they go right off on one in the comments. You go, you know what? I get it. I totally understand. But I'm only saying what I think. Or like I did a video the other day about I did a video of the Vomero Premium against the Mega Blast. People went off on it. You go through the comments. This is like comparing a lamp to a pineapple. This is what you've got no idea and all this sort of stuff. I get it, right? But what you don't think is I heard what people were saying on the live stream. I know what and seen what people have been saying, like on the Facebook group and things like that, and going, I'm a normal dude, right? I'm looking for a running shoe to go and run my marathon. Nike have got like this £230 shoe. Asics have got like this £230 shoe. What's the difference? What one am I going to buy here? They're both really expensive, so they've got to be pretty good. What one do I need to buy? I'm not really sure. Well, actually, there's a video here. So again, I've looked at it from that point of view, not the technical side of things, because I'm not an idiot. I know the differences. I've been doing it long enough now. But people didn't get that. Do you know what I mean? And that's where you get a little bit frustrated. But you're like, but I respect a lot what you're saying because I know what you're saying, and your opinion's like welcome here. Do you know what I mean? It's like this one guy had a go at me because if you don't agree with FORDY, he does this and that. No, that's not the case at all. But I'm not a doormat, and I'm not going to sit there and take abuse in the comments as well. Do you know what I mean? And that's the other thing as well. I won't take it. I just won't, because that's not the way I've been brought up. I'm black or white, and you've got to remember that. So you know, and I hope that comes across in the content that I create. And again, I'm a bit hit and miss on Instagram, but again, Instagram for me is more about the stuff that I'm cocking about with, but really it's more of a point of, look, I'm doing this, you can do it, and look at what we have going here in terms of the club and the community, and you can be a part of this if you want to. And highlighting that side of things, which I hope it comes across. I'm not so sure it comes across all the time, but again, I don't really know what I'm doing. I don't have people guiding me. No, I don't. I don't have people guiding me. I'm not social media background. I'm not a videographer background. All of this is self-taught. The whole thing is self-taught. And I think that also comes across because some of it is like crap. But it is the podcast, self-taught. Yeah. And things, again, people don't realise this stuff all costs money to do. Yeah. I appreciate this is, you know, you don't care probably, but it all costs money.
I'm £250 an hour.
He's 250 quid an hour. He's more expensive than if you go to Vegas. But it's true, you know what I mean? It's like, but again, there's so many little finite little things that not necessarily the average person is aware of. So hopefully that's helped. And hopefully it's given people an insight into what you wanted to get out of this. I'm not sure. I think I've just slagged everybody off again.
No, I don't think you have at all. I think the idea of it was people say, well, what do you do for we know what you do for a living, your full-time job, but Chris, FORDY's a content creator. Well, what's that? What does that mean? I think people know now. They've realised. I think you've explained it out and set it out quite simply. What it is you do, what's involved, the commitment involved, and the negativity that you're going to receive towards it. It's not all flowers and smelling nice roses all the time, is it?
No, but don't get me wrong. It's great. It has huge upside. So
you wouldn't do it. You wouldn't do it.
I don't want to paint a picture of, oh, woe is me, because that's total bollocks. That's total and utter bollocks. Because as I said to you, I'm lucky enough to get invited. I turn stuff down. A lot of people will take all those opportunities, and rightly so. You know, I'm getting shoes sent to me left, right, centre. I'm so lucky in that respect. You know, you think, oh, the opportunities of going abroad and all this sort of stuff. I turn stuff down because of the way I am as a human being and my ways, let's call it. Because I know I have challenges. Just to get on a plane to go to Chicago for me was the biggest challenge of my life. So, I turn stuff down. But don't get me wrong, if you took everything that came your way, and you see people taking all the stuff that comes their way, they're having a great life, and fair play to them. Why wouldn't you? It's only because the way I am that I sort of restrict myself from all that. But that's only me. So yeah, there's a massive upside to it. Again, hopefully I haven't painted a negative impression, because it's really great. The creative side of things is fantastic. Anybody who, again, I'll go back to the neurodivergent people out there, anybody who is like me in that respect, stuff like this is fantastic. It really is. Talk about an outlet, like running and creating content for somebody the way I am with my brain. It is phenomenal. It's really it's almost like medicine. If I can go into something and I can really focus in on a project, like as you said, or like a 2-3 week idea. I've got a couple of videos that I've been working on over the last 2 or 3 weeks that I'm really excited about, that I put a lot of focus into. That helps me in terms of my balance. As I say, the days where I don't want to get out of bed, struggle to get on the train, it can make a real difference. So again, anybody who's a bit like me in that respect, get creative, 100%.
You must watch back some of your stuff and have that little smile and think, not only did I enjoy doing that, it's good. It looks good.
No, I tell you what, the one that I think was from 2017, 19. I thought, oh, Jesus, that was funny. I am going to put a video out. I think probably I might do it over Christmas, because there's some challenge videos that we've done on the channel. And they're the ones. See, if you said to me, FORDY, what would you like to do? I'd like to just do the challenge videos with my mates, where we do. Actually, I'm doing something in the new year with my brother. But, that kind of different style where we're doing stupid shit. That it's just me and my mates doing silly things, like when we raced to Scotland. Like, why would you do that before a marathon? It's just an idiot thing to do. Or, tell Tobe that he's got to run to Stansted Airport. He's just under a marathon, and he's done no training. They're the sort of things that I like doing. And I wish I could do more of, but I don't have the time, because you have to dedicate yourself to your family firstly, and all the other bits. But they're the videos I love making, where I'm just with like you, like Chicago's a great example, where I'm just with my mates, and yeah, we've got doing a bit of running, but it's just about our relationships, our friendships. They're the ones I like. They don't get hardly any views, which I think it says everything, but they're the ones I like making. And if I could just make them for the rest of my life, then I would. I'd sack off the shoe reviews, because if someone said to me, FORDY, here's £10 million, Netflix, just go out and make these videos with your mates. I'd go, you know what, let's do it, because it'd be brilliant. And they're the ones that really excite me. And that you think to yourself, because we've had stupid ideas of stuff that we would like to do, but you'd need money to go and do them, because everyone's going to have to take a couple of days off work, and things like that. Fly to places. You and I spoke about stuff that, places we'd like to go and fly to and do stuff. But it's time and money, isn't it? Again, it's no big pot of money here to do these sort of things.
That's the investment in the channel. You put that investment like that, and that's helps
it's
it
a
grow.
risk.
Again,
and it comes back to that risk, doesn't it? Do you invest? Do you spend £1,000 a month to go and hire a coach to help you grow the channel, right? Pay £6,000 over 6 months to help you grow the channel. Yeah, I know channels that have done it and done it successfully, taken them from small to big because they pay somebody to work with them on the side strategy. You can see it on Instagram, people who've got like people working for them in terms of their strategies and things like that. And they've invested in their channel and they've invested in what they're doing. And fair play to them. I don't have that money to do that. I don't have that. If I had $6,000, firstly, I'd pay off the debt that we've got. But secondly, I'd take the kids on holiday. Yeah, I'd say, right, we're going on holiday. Instead of trying to scratch around and find money to go on holiday, I go, right, there's our holiday done. That's the way I am. So, you know, it's that balance, isn't it? It's that balance. Hopefully I'll get to that point where I can, take that $6,000 and take the kids on holiday. But it's like, I don't know when that's going to happen. And there's no long term in this thing anyway, in terms of this stuff. At some point, something's going to come up and it'll all end, because that's the way it happens in life. That's the way that's the situation. I go back to my point. My default position is this will end at some point.
Just enjoy the ride. Just got to
enjoy
the ride, mate.
Exactly. You've got to enjoy it until then, and enjoy what you're doing to the best of your ability, because it will end at some point. And I know that because it happened to me.
And there we go. That is what being a content creator, a day in the life. A few years in the life of a content creator.
I don't think it was a few days. Yeah, I think I painted quite a bleak picture. I'm quite miserable.
No,
you have to. Yeah, I am in one of those weeks in terms of my brain at the moment. So you've picked me on a bad week. Next week it could be all, as you said, smelling of rose gardens and stuff. But you can only be true to yourself, can't you?
And that's where I go back to the very first question, the very first point about the authenticity and consistency, etc., and you're smashing it out. And just so everyone's going to know, listen to this, but if someone's found this podcast, it's out the blue and they know nothing about you whatsoever, where are they going to find all your stuff and everything you do?
FORDY, just Google FORDY Runs.
There you go. Just as
simple
as that. Simple as that.
It's quite cool. You get people coming up to you and saying, like, even people like where I work, like they go, like people, oh, all right, FORDY, like, oh yeah, I watched that video last night. Oh, I just saw your thing. I had it today. Someone said, I saw your YouTube channel. I can't believe it. Like, it's quite funny, you know. It's quite, and you get put on the train and people recognize you and stuff like that. It's quite cool. Don't talk to me. But still, it's kind of cool where people now come across the stuff. That's a nice side of things. Do you know what I mean? Again, if you wasn't so socially inept like me, you'd probably really enjoy it. But it's a nice thing in terms of like people recognize the channel, recognize you at races and stuff like that, want to chat to you about stuff. Again, for me, it's a real struggle, but I really, really appreciate the fact that people recognize that and they've seen the videos or they've listened to the podcast or something like that. That's kind of cool. That's a great like output of it. Do you know what I mean? That people are digging what you've done. And that's a really cool thing. You know, that's put an extra sort of bounce in your stride, that you made a difference to somebody. That's kind of cool. Just to try and end on a positive.
There you go. That's a big positive. That's a big positive.
Right, I've got to go. I've got a coaching call. So again, I'm not joking, right? I'll tell you now, I'll be straight up. It's 7:45. So I've been at work. So just everybody's got, again, this massive pot of money that we'll make on YouTube. So I was work this morning at 7:00 in London. I'm now going to be coaching on coaching calls, carrying on probably till about 8:30, when I've then got to go and pick my daughter up. Just to give you all an idea. And I came home and I carried on working. Again, not worries me, but just to give you an idea of what it takes to do it.
It's hard work and it's commitment.
Yeah, it's go in with your eyes open. Go in with your eyes open, people. There we go. Right, okay. Normal services resume next week. I'm guessing. I've got no idea when this is coming out. Please leave us a nice review. Remember what I said about nasty comments. Make sure they're nice. Hey, and if you have any other brilliant ideas, or somebody else has a brilliant idea about what we should do in terms of these things you do with me, they should email into hello@fordyruns.com, I'm guessing, because you'll probably then stitch me up for something else.
We can go hello@fordyruns or longoneshow@gmail.com.
Yeah, whatever you want.
Whatever way you want to get in touch.
Yeah, wherever you want to get in touch, give us a shout and let us know from there. But yeah, right. Thanks very much, everybody. We hope you enjoyed it. We shall see you all soon.